The old Cranbrook Mental Asylum stood on a hill overlooking the town, a monument to misery, shrouded in unsettling tales. Locals whispered of patients driven mad by cruel experiments. They spoke of tortured souls trapped within its decaying walls.
We were a group of friends drawn to the unknown. Our backpacks were filled with cameras, flashlights, and enough curiosity to get us killed.
Our leader, Mark, grinned with a thrill-seeker's glint in his eyes. Ready to face your fears?
As we stepped through the gaping maw of the asylum's entrance, the air thickened. A weight settled on our chests, a palpable sense of dread. The sunlight seemed to shy away, repelled by the oppressive darkness that clung to the building. The air was thick with the smell of decay and something else, something distinctly unnerving.
Does anyone else feel that? Emily shivered, pulling her jacket tighter around herself.
We were just inside the main entrance hall, but the temperature had plummeted. The air was stale, heavy with the weight of untold suffering. We ventured deeper, each step echoing in the eerie silence. The asylum seemed to watch us, its hollow eyes following our every move. The air grew colder as we walked down a long, narrow hallway. The only light came from our flashlights, cutting through the gloom like feeble knives.
"Did you hear that?" whispered Jessica, her voice tight with fear.
A low, guttural growl seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves, sending chills down our spines. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end. We pressed on, our bravado slowly draining away with each passing moment. The laughter and jokes that had filled the air earlier were replaced by a tense silence. The deeper we went, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. It was as if the building itself was feeding off our fear.
As we entered a large, cavernous room that had once been the common area, the temperature dropped again. A cold wind whipped through the room, stirring the dust and debris that littered the floor. We could hear the faint sound of children laughing, but when we turned to look, there was nothing there.
We decided to split up, hoping to cover more ground. Mark, ever the leader, stayed close to Jessica, while Emily and I ventured down a side corridor. The hallway was dark and narrow, the walls lined with doors that hung open like gaping maws. The air was thick with the smell of decay and something metallic like old blood. I noticed scratch marks on the walls, deep gouges that looked like they had been made by something inhuman.
The air grew colder and the feeling of being watched intensified. "Emily," I called out, my voice echoing in the silence. My heart pounded in my chest. There was no answer. I turned, shining my flashlight down the hallway, but she was gone. Panic surged through me. "Emily," I shouted again, my voice cracking with fear. "This isn't funny." But deep down, I knew it was anything but funny. Something was terribly wrong.
I raced back to the common area, my heart pounding in my chest.
"Mark, Jessica, it's Emily, she's gone!"
Their faces drained of color. We searched frantically, our calls echoing unanswered through the decaying halls. Dread coiled in the pit of my stomach. The temperature plummeted, and the air grew heavy, as if an unseen entity pressed down on us. The feeling of being watched intensified, morphing into something more sinister.
"Emily, where are you?" Jessica's voice was shrill with panic, echoing through the empty halls.
But there was no response, only the unsettling silence that seemed to amplify the growing fear within us. Frustration and fear warred within me. We were lost in a labyrinth of shadows, hunted by an unseen force. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of wind through the broken windows sent shivers down my spine.
We rounded a corner and stopped dead in our tracks.
Standing at the end of the hallway, bathed in a shaft of pale moonlight, was a small, solitary figure.
It was a child no older than 7, with matted hair and eyes that glowed with an unnatural light.
The air crackled with an unseen energy.
The child's eyes, wide and vacant, stared directly at us, sending chills down our spines.
Its mouth was twisted into a grotesque mockery of a smile, revealing rows of sharp, pointed teeth.
"We just want to help."
But the child didn't respond. It simply stood there, its eyes burning into our souls.
"You should not have come here.
The child's voice was deep and guttural, like the growl of a wild animal.
This place is mine."
The words hung in the air, thick with menace, sending shivers down our spines.
The child lunged at us, its small body moving with impossible speed and agility.
We screamed and scrambled back, our hearts pounding in our chests. The chase was on.
We ran for our lives, the child's laughter echoing behind us. The asylum seemed to twist and turn around us, a labyrinth designed to trap us within its grasp.
Terror lent speed to our feet as we dodged crumbling walls and leaped over debris.
This way!
Mark shouted, pointing down a hallway. We followed him blindly, our lungs burning, our legs screaming for respite.
But the child was relentless, its laughter growing closer with every passing second.
We burst out of the asylum and into the cool night air, gasping for breath. We didn't stop running until we reached the safety of Mark's car.
As we sped away, I risked a glance back at the asylum, its silhouette a dark and brooding presence against the horizon.
Section 7. The tape's terrifying truth, evidence of the paranormal. Back at Mark's house, we huddled around the television, our faces pale and drawn.
We rewound the tape, our eyes glued to the screen, and then we saw it.
The footage was grainy, obscured by shadows, but there was no mistaking it. The child. Its eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and its smile was the stuff of nightmares.
The audio captured its voice, deep and guttural, whispering threats that sent shivers down our spines.
This is insane, Jessica whispered, her voice trembling.
We stared at the screen, our blood running cold. The evidence was right there in front of us, undeniable proof of the paranormal. The experience had shaken us to our core. We had gone looking for ghosts, but what we found was something far more sinister. Something that clung to us, whispering in our dreams, reminding us of the darkness that lurked just beyond the veil of reality. Section 8, Forever Haunted, the lingering effects of the encounter. We tried to forget that night, to erase the memory of the possessed child from our minds, but some things are impossible to unsee. Some experiences leave an indelible mark on the soul.
We each carried the scars of that night in our own way. Mark, once fearless, became withdrawn and quiet. Jessica, once full of life, was now plagued by nightmares. And me? I couldn't shake the feeling that we had brought something back with us from the asylum. Something dark and evil.
The laughter of children, once a sound of joy, now sent shivers down my spine. Shadows seemed to move in the corner of my eye, and I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched.
The asylum had claimed a part of me that night, and it was a part I would never get back. We had gone looking for a thrill, for proof of the paranormal. What we found was a terror that would haunt us for the rest of our days, a stark reminder that some doors are best left unopened, some mysteries unsolved. Section 9. A warning unheeded. The dangers of seeking the unknown. The Cranbrook Asylum remained standing, a monument to our folly, a stark reminder of the dangers of seeking the unknown. We had learned our lesson, but at what cost?
Our story serves as a warning. The world is full of dark places, haunted places, where the veil between our world and the next wears thin. Places where curiosity can lead to terror, where the pursuit of thrills can have deadly consequences.
Heed our warning. Stay away from the darkness. Don't tempt fate, for the things that lurk in the shadows are best left undisturbed.
The truth, as we discovered, can be far more terrifying than anything we could have ever imagined.
There's a reason why certain places are abandoned, shrouded in whispers and warnings. They are places of power, yes, but not the kind that welcomes human intrusion. They are places of pain, of suffering, of residual energy that can cling to the unwary and drag them down into the abyss. Section 10. Conclusion. The unsettling reality of the paranormal. The paranormal is real. It exists in the shadows, at the edge of our perception. It is a force to be respected, not challenged.
Our experience taught us that some things are better left unknown. We emerged from the darkness forever changed, haunted by what we had seen, by what we had encountered.
The possessed child, its glowing eyes and twisted grin forever seared into our memories. A chilling reminder of the unseen forces that surround us.
The world is a far stranger and more terrifying place than we ever imagined. So, the next time you feel the urge to explore the unknown, to seek out the darkness, remember our story. Remember the possessed child of Cranbrook Asylum. And ask yourself, is it worth the risk?
The answer, my friends, is always no.